Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome into the Cryptid Huntress Live. We are live today, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you had a great weekend. I know I've already had a Thanksgiving dinner, y'all. It's Thanksgiving here in the United States this week. And yes, my son's out of school. That throws a wrench in the engine. I tell you what, y'all. But I love it. I'm glad he's here. But it does kind of throw my schedule off a little bit. For the better, probably, I guess. Who knows? But yeah, I did have a little food coma last night already. And I'm looking forward to having another one of those this Thursday. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If I don't see y'all again, I know I've got another show on Wednesday. We're going to have a show on Thursday too. Okay, so y'all are going to see me a couple more times this week before the holiday. But if I don't see y'all again, I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. All right, so we have a fantastic show today. I had a just mind-blowing show on Saturday night with Darrell Denton. You guys know Darrell from Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures on Facebook. Darrell's a good friend of mine, and he has had some really wild cryptid experiences from the clans of Bigfoot that he's befriended, to Dogman encounters, to having his home surrounded and terrorized by a group of Bigfoots. And some of the things he told me were so mind-blowing that I decided to do another show on just what he was talking about and how he actually got rid of those cryptids today. And I brought Dennis Carroll. Dr. Dennis Carroll's here with us today to talk about it. Darrell said that he blessed his home. He blessed his home and he prayed. Okay. And so we're going to talk about the potential of these cryptids being demonic in some sort of a way today. And it's something that we hear often, especially even with alien abductions as well. They say that if you pray and if you use the name of Jesus Christ, okay, they'll go away. And so we're going to find out today. We're talking to Dennis about it. Y'all go get the popcorn. This is going to be another wild rabbit hole to go down. But I think it's important that we do know how to stop these experiences and these encounters if we want to. Okay, or if we need to. And I'm going to say we probably do want to if we're having an unpleasant experience with a cryptid. All right, well, if you guys would like to catch up on whatever I'm doing, y'all go over to my website. It's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows archived there in the calendar of events and whatever else you need, y'all. It's a way to get in touch with me over there on my website, thecryptidhuntress.com. Also, I have a Patreon. It's called The Cryptid Huntress on Patreon. If you guys would like to support my work and my channel, and I want to give a shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank y'all so much from the bottom of my heart. I also have a shop. It is Christmas. So if you want to purchase something cool, go to War Woman Goods. It's on Etsy. And I give out free merch with every purchase that you make. I do send some Cryptid Huntress merch in those packages. So thank you guys so much for your support with that as well. Also, I got a bunch of events I'm going to be at, including the East Alabama Town Hall. That's next month. And I think that's the next thing I got going on. And so I think my dog is barking, y'all. I'm so sorry. Where's my son when I need him? Okay, for real. So anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and get to our show, shall we? A list of events are on my website and down here on the ticker. Okay. All right, let's get to Dr. Dennis Carroll today. He's here. Let me go over an overview real quick. Okay, so we're going to be looking into the phenomenon of suspected demonic cryptids, from Bigfoot and Dogman to extraterrestrials and more. Can the power of prayer stop cryptid activity and put an immediate halt to a dangerous cryptid encounter? I have Dr. Dennis Carroll here. He has decades of experience in the occult, in paranormal investigations and research, cryptid research and activity, and UFOs, you name it, he does it. Paranormal. Please help me welcome to the show our good friend, Dr. Dennis Carroll. Hey, Dennis.
Doing. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Feeling a little discombobulated over here today. It's been wild having my kid home. And a dog is over here. I think she needs to go
I
out.
always, I always runs it up a few rungs, definitely. This is a very interesting subject we have today in front of us because I want to say this, and I can't stress it enough. This subject goes deep into every avenue of our lives, and I've been doing this for well over half a century now, and the more I get into it, the more I learn. I mean, it's just a continuing learning experience, and also though, you have to kind of realize what it is you're facing and how to deal with it. That's the most important thing. As you know, Jessica, I run a paranormal consulting service, and I have a lot of people who call me and ask about questions. And I want to stress that on the show today. If you have any questions or if you have concerns, if something's happening with you, whatever the situation, please contact me or someone like me or Jessica, whatever, because you need to reach out and if you need help in this category, because the demonic, like I say, is showing up in every aspect of our lives. Absolutely.
It is. We are living in very wild times right now, for sure. And I was telling the audience before I brought you up today that I had Darrell Denton on my show on Saturday night, and he had some really just harrowing experiences with Bigfoots that had harassed him at his home, at his farm. And not only were they harassing him and terrorizing him in his house, banging on his home, they were attacking his horses and upsetting his horses, even leaving witch knots on his horse's mane and tail. And we all know what witch knots are. Okay, those are not good. If a Bigfoot's putting braids in your horse's hair, y'all look that up. I'm not going to get into detail about what those are, but he had that. It all kind of hit an apex of like 4 months. 4 months they harassed him at his home. They threw a dead goat on his front door, at his front door. And I think at some point, he said it didn't have a head. The head was missing on this goat. He said that he finally just had enough and went outside with his gun. And he said, all right, this is it. It's either me or you. Okay. He was ready to shoot them, actually. And so I think he said that he called Scott Carpenter, another renowned Bigfoot researcher, and he has passed on. Okay. So RIP to Scott. He said that he called him, and Scott suggested that he put salt in all the corners of his house and all the corners of his property, and that he pray and rebuke the Bigfoots and rebuke the ETs, or not ETs, the Bigfoots or whatever it was that was harassing him. And he said after that day, they never came back after he did that, Dennis. So
Yeah, that surprised me. Salt is a very, very purifying thing, especially if it's blessed salt. And like I said earlier, it has to be sea salt, real salt, not the man-made stuff. Some of the salt that we have on our tables actually is man-made. So sea salt is what you use. You must bless it first. Put it in every corner of the house. Put it in the center of the house. Put it across your thresholds and doorways. This is I have done this seemed like a million times. I have done thousands of house blessings, and it is one of the essential things that you use. Although you use holy water and oil as well, but salt is very essential, very purifying.
Well, it took me a little while to kind of process everything he was telling us on Saturday night. And I've had some more time to think about it. And I'm like, wow, that, banishing them with, prayer, that would suggest that those are spiritual, some sort of spiritual being, or some sort of, almost it could be like a demonic presence, though, right, Dennis?
I think when we look at these cryptids, and I have seen so many reports of this. Tons of people encountering these things in a very bad way. There are some good encounters. Some people have some good things that come away with that, but I think a lot of that depends on their attitude on stuff. But sometimes it goes beyond that. And to me, the interesting aspect of all this, I think without a doubt that many of these cryptids have a connection to the Nephilim. We've talked about that, I think, on other shows that you and we've done. But the Nephilim, I think, is a very distinct connection going on here. You know, you look at this, and you can even go back into the Bible and see some of this stuff that's talked about. Look at the birth of Esau. Esau in the Bible said he was born with hair all over him. He had red hair all over him. Okay, that's the name Esau, by the way, means red hair. Where you get that at? You know, that's very interesting. And you have other aspects of this. The giants, I think, that once roamed this world, the remnant of them may still be here in Bigfoot and things like that. And as for Dogman, I think without a doubt there is a definite demonic connection with a lot of this Dogman activity. I think some of these Dogmen are conjured up out of the darkness for certain reasons by certain people. I think a lot of this is going. I've had a lot of reports, Jessica, just recently, of Dogmen appearing in people's houses, appearing in jail cells. I mean, there was a story, I think, in our good friend Bigfoot Michigan Rob's book about one appearing in a jail and telling this guy, "Hey, we've been watching you. We want you to join us." What is that? That is definitely some type of a dark magic or dark witchcraft connection thing going on here. You got a lot to look at when it comes to this.
Yeah, I was just thumbing through YouTube, and I saw that Vic Cundiff at Dogman Encounters had just posted a video over the weekend of, it said, and I haven't had time to watch it yet, but it said that someone had encountered a dogman at a prison. So that was this week. He just posted that. So that's really odd that this is coming up today. Yeah, there is something about being conjured, and you and I have talked about that a lot. We talk about that with the blood sacrifices and all the magical elements that go into like black magic and just conjuring. So that could be it, and it's really fascinating because he had talked about having a relationship, a friendly relationship with two different clans of Bigfoot over the past, I guess he said since 1992. And then at some point, I guess they were leaving gifts and things in the trees, which I never recommend doing that. Okay. I don't recommend leaving gifts for Bigfoots or anything, especially near your home or at your home, especially because once you quit leaving gifts, they can get mad. Okay. And seek retribution and stuff. But he said that at some point, this group of Bigfoots came to his house and just really terrorized him there. And so I don't think that they were conjured, so to speak, but I don't know.
Well, when you establish a connection, whatever it may be, however it is, there can be a spiritual side to that connection as well. We got to understand that. Leaving gifts, interacting. I've had many reports of people actually supposedly having a rapport, with Bigfoot mind wise, about hearing stuff, from them and actually talking to them with their minds. That's not good. I mean, that's the way the demonic usually works, folks. I hate to tell you that, but that's one of the things that they do. Go back to the very famous case of the Annabelle doll and all this other stuff. They're looking to establish a connection with you so they can sort of kind of get their hooks into you and to pull you in to their sphere of influence. That's what the demonic does. Even if they use telepathy or whatever the situation. Be very careful, especially something that touches your mind. That is the most integral part. You got to remember something. The mind is definitely connected to the soul, to the spirit. Okay. One day when you and I, Jessica, put these meat jackets down that we're wearing and move on to wherever the next plane of existence is, our intellect and our spirit, our spiritual soul will go with that. Okay, they're going to last. Our intellect is a very very important aspect of our soul. Put it that way. And when something starts touching your mind, that is the ultimate invasion of privacy. You got to understand that, and a very, very strong connection that you're establishing.
It is. And so that reminds me of the word of the day, Louch. Okay, Louch. I say that I know Barry loves that word. I say Louch. But it's that life force energy of, when people are frightened and they get scared, it puts out this energy, and there are certain entities that live off of that. They thrive off of that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so much fear in this world and so much fear mongering, it seems like. And it's just something that lower level entities, lower dimensional entities thrive off of. And so something that Darrell told us was that he had a bunch of cats that lived out in his barn. And at some point, whatever these beings were, which he said that he thinks that they're like forest people, Bigfoot, like the mean ones, the bad ones that were harassing him, they actually went and took every single cat that he had on his property, and they were all ripped in half and died. They unalived all of them and left him out on his porch. And I just thought, man, that was just so sinister, and that's something that would put him and his family in a fear state, knowing, well, if they can get your cats and your pets, they can get at you too. Okay. And so that's got to be terrifying. And I think that's, to me, it feels like they were kind of thriving off that fear. You know what I mean? Of knowing they were scaring him.
Oh yeah, they want to create that atmosphere of fear. They want to create that because that's the negativity that they live off of. It's like a kid with candy. Okay, they can't get enough of it. It drives them and it makes them stronger. And if I had talked to Darrell, I would have said, Darrell, you got to calm down. You got to kind of get a hold of the fear, because that's what it was producing, fear and negativity. Okay. And once you understand that that's how you feed the beast, you need to start starving him and keeping him from becoming stronger. I have seen many cases, Jessica. I've gone into houses where this atmosphere of fear and hate and anger and all these emotions, these negative emotions were. And the more that those emotions rise, the more the demonic power rises with it. They feed off of this stuff. Don't give them any food. That's the main thing you got to do. I counsel a lot of people this all over the world. I counsel people that have these problems, and I tell them the first thing you got to remember is they do not have any power unless you give it to them. And you give it to them by feeding them. That's the thing.
Yes. And I don't think, Darrell, the big guy, he's a big guy. He's like 6'6". I had a picture that I showed of him and I standing next to each other. And I look very tiny. Okay. And I'm like 5'8". But he's a big guy. He's fearless. Okay. And he said that he did sleep with his gun at night, his rifle or his guns. And but he said he didn't sleep, actually. He said he slept during the day. And he was the mayor of that town. Okay, he's the mayor, and he had deputies there that would come and patrol his property for him a lot of times throughout the day and at night, just to kind of do a drive through to make sure there wasn't anything fishy going on. But he said he just didn't sleep, and I gotta think that would it'd be really scary. I also have a good friend named Flat Rock. Okay, Flat Rock Wood Boogers. Y'all can find him on YouTube. I think his YouTube channel's back up now. But Flat Rock has a home out in Alabama, and he's been kind of harassed like that a little bit. And he said it's not good. It's not fun. It can be scary knowing that there's something looking in your windows at night and watching you and hitting the side of your house at night. But there's that fear aspect to it, which would suggest that there could be something very sinister about those. And I don't think it's with all the Bigfoots, Dennis. I think it's just with particular ones. I mean, maybe they did something to make them mad, deceit, retribution, or maybe they're just evil. I don't know.
Absolutely. I think, you got to remember something. When you kind of look into the darkness in this world, it's going to look back at you, okay? And when you push against the darkness, it's going to push back. And sometimes this comes home. You know what I mean? It comes down to a very personal thing. We talk a lot about the darkness in the world around us today, and there is an atmosphere of fear right now in this whole world. A fear of nuclear retribution, a fear of saying the wrong thing, whatever the fear may be. We living with fear day in and day out is constantly part of our existence, and it doesn't need to be that way because these things love that fear. And here's the thing about it. When you look into that darkness, when you talk about it, when you think about it, the more you pull it into you, the closer you get to the connection that you make. What you got to watch out for. That connection is very important.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. And okay, Barry has an interesting point here. He says Bigfoots are sometimes possessed. And I've heard that before. We've talked about this on the show. Sometimes, what do people call them? Unclean spirits, dark entities could potentially, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm asking you, could dark spirits, dark entities take over the vessel of something like a Bigfoot?
These things, Jessica, definitely have a spiritual side to them, okay? And anything, this includes dogs and cats, okay? Anything that has a spirit is capable of being possessed. We got to remember that these demonic entities can possess you as long as you got a spirit. They can't possess a doll because a doll does not have a spirit in it. But you can put a spirit in that doll. That's very much like your case with the Catskill Chrome, okay? That was a Dybbuk box, basically, if you want to look at it that way. I think that's what the nails were for, to keep that entity inside of that container that it was, okay? And when they brought that thing back home with them, they were what? Bringing that influence back home with them. But that is an inanimate object. You got to remember that. It doesn't have a spirit unless you put one in there. And you can capture a spirit in a box, a jar, a bottle, a doll, whatever the situation is. But a living thing with a spirit, like a dog or a cat or you or me or Bigfoot or Dogman, if it has a spirit, it is capable of being possessed.
Oh, that was probably, I'm going to say the dumbest thing those guys could have done was take that crone of the Catskills home with them. Why? I don't know why anybody would do that. But they did it. And that was a possessed object. And so let that be a word of caution to everyone. If you see a doll with nails in its eyes, don't touch it.
To bring that thing home, okay?
Yeah, I know. You got to be crazy. No shade to those people. So let's see, Lee Jennifer Corlew Ayers. Okay, these Bigfoots try leaving me gifts, which I throw back. My understanding is they try to bribe you into feeding them. If you stop, they may attack, so never start. Yes, I would not. I don't know. What do you think, Dennis?
Okay, if something starts trying to give you gifts, it's doing that for a reason. Okay, and if you start gifting each other, you better watch out because you're establishing that connection I talked about earlier, and there may be some very bad intentions behind that connection. Don't you understand? There may be some bad influence going on that they want to get you into that situation where they can open you up and put that influence over you. That's what you got to watch. That's just the way the demonic works. The demonic is a real thing, folks, okay? I have seen it face to face. I have seen it destroy people. I have seen it cower and run from me at the very name of Jesus Christ. I have seen these things for what they truly are, and they are real. This is something that's just as real as the ocean is or the sun and the sky. This is part of our existence, whether we realize it or not.
Yes, they are. There's something very spiritual about this going on, and I've been hearing for years about people who had been in the middle of some sort of an alien abduction or having aliens in their bedroom at night. Like I've woken up at least twice and do remember having ETs in my bedroom before. Now I don't remember having like negative experiences. I didn't feel like I was taken, but I don't know. I don't know what happened because I recall going, like, being put to sleep or falling back to sleep after I realized what I was looking at. Okay, so I don't know how those experiences went down. I know Barry keeps wanting to do regressions with me. I haven't done them with that, but some people say that, you know, it's terrifying and they rebuke it in the name of Jesus Christ. And they say that when that happens, it all stops. It's like a light switch goes off
It
or
works.
on. Mm-hmm.
It works. And if it works, I want to do it. Okay. Definitely, if it
Yeah.
works. And I've seen it work. I've heard so many thousands of other people tell me this works. So they've been in these situations. And let me say this about these so-called alien visits. A lot in this world, my friends, is not what it appears to be. There's a lot going on here that we're being fooled into believing other things. It's not only distractions, we're being fed some very, very, very volatile type of spiritual misinformation here. Okay. We've got to understand, I think a lot of this alien stuff that we're being fed, you might say, is really demonic in origin.
Oh,
These things, Jessica, are even, this is how insidious these things are. They can even implant false memories in you of things that never happened.
yes. Well, we know about the what do you call it when it's screen memories, right? The screen memories when you're having some kind of an experience, all of that. There's a lot. It's all tricks of the mind, right? It's all tricks of the mind and stuff. Um, Nonetheless, it's not pleasant. Okay, and there is that Louch involved with them as well, I do believe. But
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the aliens come from outer space anymore. Okay, that's what I've always been taught. We've always talked about are that aliens come from outer space. No, I don't think so. I think they come from inside, like interdimensional and stuff. I
They
don't
are
know.
aliens in a way, but they're not
Mhm.
aliens in the way that you think. Okay, that's the way this goes. Actually, they don't belong here in this on this world with you and I. We belong here, you and I, but they don't. They are
Mhm.
truly aliens, but they're not aliens in the image that Hollywood and all that has given us. Okay, we've got to remember what we're really truly dealing with. But here's the nefarious part of it all: they are
Yeah.
extreme experts at manipulation and deceit. They can deceive your mind on a scale that is unconceivable. Almost. They are experts at this and they do it very well. These beings, we got to remember, these beings are probably millions of years old. They have accumulated knowledge, intelligence far beyond what you and I will have in one lifetime, Jessica. We've got to understand what we're dealing with and how very dangerous it is. And we've got to also understand that they are part of this universe right now. One day they may not be any longer, but right now, that's what we've got to deal with. We've got to understand it's the demonic, the world of the demonic and all this other stuff. I've often told people it's like a lake. Okay. If you jump in a lake, you don't know what's in that lake. You could have sharks in it, you could have crocodiles, and you don't know. And when you jump into the demonic, you don't know what you're dealing with. You've got to be very, very, very careful how you approach these things. They are extremely dangerous spiritually.
Okay, here's my question to you, Dennis. Okay, if somebody like myself, if I'm having encounters with ETs when I wake up at night in my bedroom, uh, and let's just say I'm completely distraught over it. I don't know what to do. I don't want ETs in my house. I've got kids here. I don't want my child affected by it. Would an exorcism help? If I called in a priest or someone, like if I called in someone like yourself and said, Dennis, please come over and give an exorcism to my home and to myself, my family, would that stop the ETs, you think, from showing up at my house?
I think it would, yeah. Because a lot of times these things are trying to approach you in different ways. Sometimes they can appear as ghosts, sometimes they can appear as aliens, sometimes they can appear as people that you know, or relatives that you once knew. Whatever the situation, these guys, there's nothing off the table with these guys. Okay, they can do it any way that they can find. They can get into your psyche. They can get into your realm of thought. They will use the alien image. They'll use all that. They're trying to get you. You've got some kind of dark force coming out against you. Definitely, you need to cleanse yourself. Here's the important part of me. When I've done a lot of these house blessings, as people call them, I call them spiritual cleansings. That's what they truly are. When I do that, I not only do the house, I do the pets, I do the yard, I do every nail and screw in that house, I do every person who lives in that house. You have to bless the person. That puts that protection around them. I do their animals, the whole works. Okay. That's the way you got to do that. And I have heard a lot of people going, oh, yeah, I went in and blessed the house, and that's all they done. No, 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 no. You got to do the whole 9 yards on it, okay? Or it's not going to be effective. And if I were to come to your house, I would not only bless your house, but you would be included in it as well, because you are the main focus of what? They're not coming to take over your house. They're coming to take over you.
Oh, wow. You heard it here first, folks. Watch out. Okay. This is a good point, too. Sweetly Morbid Bear has a really good point, because I agree with this. There are too many types of aliens to say they're all bad. If they were all bad, we wouldn't exist anymore. Same with Bigfoot. I don't think they're all bad either. And when it comes down to the discussion on the glowing red eyes, okay, I have experienced glowing eyes, glowing red eyes in the field before. Glowing white, usually it's white eyes, or like an off-white color when I've seen them. But a lot of people experience glowing red eyes, and a lot of people say that means they're demonic. Whatever you're looking at is demonic. I don't know. I've not always agreed with that. But then again, I don't know. Okay, I really don't know. What do you say about that, Dennis? Because I don't think all Bigfoots are not bad. Okay, all aliens are not bad. But I think that there could be some that are. Okay, but what about those red glowing eyes, Dennis?
Oh, definitely. If you come up against anything with red glowing eyes, you're dealing, most of the time, I'm going to say 99.9% of the time, it is demonic. Do not look at those eyes. Do not look at those eyes. Do not establish an eye contact with that thing, because it can mesmerize you, can get power over you that way very quickly. We've said that so many times, just through the eyes, all the windows to the soul, and that's what they are. And if you're dealing with something with red eyes, but it can also exhibit green eyes. It can also exhibit white eyes. Don't get hung up on the eye color. Okay, what you need to worry about is what you feel. What your spirit is picking up off of this thing. Okay, that's the number one way you're gonna really, really know what you're dealing with. If you are sensitive enough to it, you will know that you are in the presence of extreme evil. I have felt that. I have felt, oh God, many times I have been in instances where you could cut it with a knife. It was so thick in the air. Evil was there, and you could not. There's no way you could say it was something otherwise than evil. Go with that feeling. You have that feeling, that inherent in you. You have that sensitivity. Always trust it, because it's trying to tell you something. Definitely.
Oh, I just saw a really interesting comment here from Don. Hey, Don. He says, I've done so many stories of goatmen, dogmen, and Bigfoots being inside your house through windows and doors to get you, and each time the person survived by exiting out, going in the attic or such. That's terrifying. Knowing, I guess that's kind of going back to Darrell's story about the Bigfoots trying to get in. I don't know if they were trying to get in his house. He said that he was ready. He thought they were going to try to break in that last night. He thought he was about to die, he said. Or they were going to die, one or the other. But you said that too before. You said something about the dogmen getting inside people's houses, Dennis, didn't you? Today.
Totally. And, you got to remember something. These things have the capabilities of being good and evil, just like you and I do. Okay. You got good people, you got bad people. Okay. That's the way it goes. You got this on that side of the cryptids as well. You could run into a bad batch of Bigfoot that are, you did, I think, a show recently about the Bigfoot War back in 1855. They were running into some pretty bad Bigfoot, you know, Sasquatch at that time. You can't you have a chance of running into anything evil, no matter what it is in this world. It's just a living thing. It can have an influence of evil over it, without a doubt.
Mm. Oh, let's see. Riley Ron Ivy says one theory is Bigfoot is an alien in a hairy suit. Okay, could be. I don't know. It could be. And that one of the most often, one of the questions I get the most often from people that are inquiring about aliens, especially, are aliens demons? Okay, are aliens demons? And so that kind of connects with the whole. I guess that would connect Bigfoot with that as well. But that is a good question.
You gotta remember something, Jessica, very important, and I won't tell this to everybody out there listening today. Aliens are in our consciousness now. Well, we think about a lot. The aliens this, aliens that, alien contact, so on and so on and so on. The demonic knows this. You understand? The demonic realizes that we have this imagery already in our minds. It can take this imagery and use it against us. That's why I say we have to be very careful. They are very good at manipulating us. They know how to push our buttons and pull our chains whenever they want to. And they can do it so well. Believe me, it's astonishing. And this imagery, the imagery is what it's all about. The image. You've already got this in your mind about aliens, okay? And you're thinking, a lot of times it's almost become almost a religion for some people. Oh, the aliens, our brothers, the Anunnaki are coming back, and all this other stuff. When all of this has been fueled by demons who understand how to use this imagery. Let me say this, and I'll throw this out there for you right quick. Look at the gods of Greece, okay, and Zeus and all this. They once walked this world, but they were demons who wanted to be worshipped as gods. That's what they say. They were using the imagery that they needed to use to get the things they wanted done. That's just the way they work. That's the way these things operate. Let me tell you something. I do not think anybody is coming from untold millions of miles away to this planet just to stick a probe up your anal orifice. Okay, I just don't believe that. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
good. The intentions behind this is not good. You're not having a good thing. I've had so many people contact me, Jessica, that aliens have ruined their lives,
Yeah.
that they have put implants in them. They've done this to them. They've done that to their souls. These things are spiritual. They are demonic. They're not real aliens, okay? They're demonic entities using that imagery, folks. We got to realize that.
Oh my gosh. That's a great point. That's a great point because it's kind of like an ongoing joke that one of my teams used to have is like just say no to probes, because we were joking around about how ET is so closely connected to Bigfoot when we're out in the field. I never had a ET experience that I could remember until I started doing Bigfoot field research. And so that's when I started getting them in my home. And someone had just left a really interesting comment, and it was about the dream state. Okay. Lee says when they invade dream space, do deliverance prayers as soon as possible. And I wanted to mention this because I was on Tony Merkel's show. Tony's a buddy of mine with the Confessionals podcast. And I was on a show. We were talking about my ET experience in my bedroom in my home. And something that stood out to him was that I told him my dogs did not wake up when this was happening. And I had guard dogs, okay, like pit bull lab mixes, brother and sister. They were very alert all the time. If anything moved in the house, they would bark.
I bet
Mhm.
if you'd had cats in the house, there might have been a difference.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that there's a big difference between dogs are more in the spiritual, physical realm. Cats are more in the spiritual realm. And
Mhm.
I could see why how your dogs could be fooled by spiritual entities. Okay, we gotta remember that. And there's been many times that I've had a lot of people tell me they've had experiences with the demonic, and their dogs never reacted to it because dogs are more in the physical world in that respect than the cats are. The cats have a more interesting connection with spiritual things. Put it that way.
Mhm. Well, Tony brought up a really cool point. Was that he said, "Well, what if when you were having this experience, you were not in that three-dimensional reality with your dogs and your son in that room? You were actually just above it in like the fourth dimension, let's just say, and you were actually vibrating on where they were in the dream state, basically. But you were awake, but they were awake too, but they just weren't there in the physical."
That's where the dream state comes in, Jessica. The
Hmm.
dream state is very much like being, we've talked about a lot of these near death experiences that people have. I had one my own self. Okay. You come out different. You come out with a different perspective on things whenever you go that close. And the dream state is very close to the death state, by the way. Your respiration is slowed down, your heartbeat slowed down to a certain extent. You are very close to death in many aspects, and that is exactly when the demonic will attack you. I have been attacked so many times in the dream state. I wish I had a dollar for every time I had. I'd be a rich man. Anyway, that's where they come after you when you're at your lowest point, and when you're not in you're not in the active dimensional aspect of yourself. Your brain's not 100% going the way it's going. You got more of a guard against them. But when you're in the sleep state, it's almost like another dimension.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's a very valid point, and I think that we need to also be aware of that these entities are not always in the third dimension where we are. Okay, and it does affect your dreams, and so it is important when we wake up from a. Let's just say we feel like it's a dream. Okay, and I know there's plenty of us, a lot of people listening in right now, do a lot of astral traveling in their dreams, and that is a very real thing. And even when I do, I compare it to remote viewing, because we're kind of astral traveling when we're remote viewing as well. And so we have to protect ourselves. I've had to go through years of training on how to protect myself spiritually and energetically from lower vibrational entities.
You
Remote
have,
viewing.
yeah. You're going outside your existence in some way, and you got to be careful because once you kind of disconnect that body and soul thing, you're very vulnerable. You realize that, and Jessica, you know what I'm talking about. You open yourself up mind wise. When you open yourself up like that, you have to be very careful and you have to have that protection in place. If you don't, you're just sitting duck. You're twisting slowly in the wind, out on a limb, whatever say what, however you want to say it. You're open season for them, okay? And also, don't forget this: your body is too. While your mind is disconnected, your body is vulnerable too. They can come in
Mhm.
and possess your body if you're not careful because you've left it open like a door open in your house, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we got to be very careful. If you someone in the chat had written that if you when you wake up from a dream like that, pray. Okay, pray, put up some protection immediately. And we have a lot of questions. I'm kind of behind on the comments a little bit, but a lot of people have been talking about their pets in relation to first of all, Candy. What's up, Candy? Was asking, wanted to know from you, Dennis. Have you ever had to exercise a family pet? Have you ever done that before?
Oh, there was one I remember very distinctly a few years back where the family dog, was acting unusually, not like itself. It got very angry like and it was almost like it did a complete reversal of its personality and they were very concerned about it. I actually prayed and anointed that dog, and he that immediately went away. He had some kind of a spirit of anger, like that settled on him, and they were trying to get to the family through the dog. And once I prayed for him, anointed him, that completely stopped.
Mm. Oh my gosh, that actually reminds me of there was a time where I was going through a lot of traumatic turmoil, let's just say. Okay, traumatic turmoil. That's the phrase, I guess. And I was going through like a healing phase though, right? Where I was healing and getting in touch with my spiritual self and doing things to raise my vibrational frequency. It was much needed. And I was doing that in private. Nobody knew about it. And I felt as though I had people, and I'm talking about multiple people who were throwing very negative energy my way. And there was a time where I had gone into like a hermit mode. I wasn't, really dealing with anyone from the outside world other than my son and myself and my dog. Okay, in my home. And I was doing pretty well, but I knew there were people that were, it was, let's just say I was going through some court stuff and things. And I was fine. My son and I seemed to be okay, but my dog got really sick and was like it was almost like these really weird energies were attacking my dog. And I could tell that she was being attacked. It wasn't like she was just sick or whatever. I could tell it was like, especially like on certain days, like she would just she had a seizure and stuff.
Dogs and cats are very sensitive, okay, and they pick up on what we're going through. And that
Yeah,
doesn't surprise me a bit that your dog got sick and you was
yeah,
feeling really bad because you were going through some very traumatic thing. And you did the right thing in a way though. It's not, if people start attacking you like that, things start coming in. It's good to get away from it. It's
yeah,
distance yourself from it. I've told people this a lot of times in this world that we're living in now. The number one thing we need to do every now and then, we need to take time. We need to take time just to get away from everything. Get away from the cell phones, get away from the computers, get away from everything, okay? And just go off by yourself somewhere. I don't care where it is. If it's in the woods, at the beach, wherever it is. Don't get wherever you will not be distracted. You need to get in touch with that inner peace. The negative things in this universe hate that. Okay, they don't want you to do that because that is a bumper against them. That's raising your shields, as they say on Star Trek. You put your shields up. You put a shield up against these things. They don't want you to do that. Right now, Jessica, just because you and I are talking about this today, I'm surprised we haven't had any technical difficulties here. They do not like us talking about these things. The darkness does not ever want you to drag it into the light.
yeah. Well, y'all heard my dog barking earlier. My son finally came and took her outside. So, so I did have, so she was being affected again. She was. And I watched something really interesting. I don't know. I don't remember where I heard this the other day, Dennis, but I was watching a clip of a show where they were talking about our pets reincarnate with us. And it's almost like I do believe in reincarnation personally. And we, soul contracts and stuff. And there are some people will call your pets like a familiar or something, I guess. I don't know. I just think that at the right moment, your pet shows up at the right time in your life. And sometimes their contracts are to be a buffer between you and
I believe
diseases,
in
uh,
predestination.
harm. Hmm.
I believe
Yeah.
in predestination. You're hitting on it right there. I think that we are meant to have certain things in our lives, certain people that come into our lives, sometimes for good or bad, because sometimes we get the bad because it teaches us a lesson. Okay, it makes us better people. And look at what you have gone through, and what I've gone through, and what other people have gone through, has made us better people. In a way, I hope it has. For me, I hope it has anyway. And I think we come out better at the end saying, hey, I didn't like what I went through, but I got something out of it better than what I had, than what I put into it. And that's the way we need to look at things. But the negative things in this world, the demonic, whatever name you want to give them, they don't want that. They're actively fighting against that. And there's a very important part in the Bible where Jesus tells people, listen to this very closely. He says, if you're going to have your plans, don't say it out loud. Don't let anybody know, because there's something always listening, waiting to really screw you up if it can do so. And that's the way it goes. That's what goes on. We got to understand and recognize that that factor is in our world and in our existence, and we need to address it appropriately. Don't let your plans be known, he said. If you're gonna do it, just go do it. Don't go out talking about it all the time, saying I'm gonna do this and do that. Make sure that you keep you play your cards close to your breast. Okay, make sure you play them close, and don't let anybody know what's going on, because there are things out there always watching us. I don't care. I know this is creepy to think about, okay? But they're watching us all the time. They're looking for an opportunity. Do not give these things an opportunity, folks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And take a little extra care of your pets too, because they do take the brunt of some of these spiritual attacks. From what I took away from that little clip that I was watching, they were saying that it's the belief of some people that they do take the brunt of some of the spiritual attacks that'll come our way, and even some of the diseases and some of the ailments that we have in our bodies. Like, they will take that on. They're like so empathetic. And
let me say this right quick, since you brought that up. The very first thing the demonic attacks when it goes into a home, the very first thing are the animals and the children. Okay, they're in that home. And then they go after the females. And I tell you why they go after the females. She's usually the center of the family. She's usually I call her the backbone. Okay, she's the backbone of the family unit. And that's exactly what they go to attack. But then they go after the animals and the children because they are very vulnerable too. That's just the way they always work.
Yeah, the weak links, right? They're looking for a weak link, I think, and that's really sad.
A chink in your armor. That's what they want. That chink in your armor, that weak spot, no matter what it may be. And whenever you're down, spiritually, physically, or mentally, that's what they'll come after. Okay, if you're not feeling good, they'll hit you then. If you've got something going on, you got a lot of worries on your mind, got a lot of fear going on, or what, anxiety, whatever the situation, that's where they'll go for you. Or if you're having a spiritual thing, you're having that dark night of the soul thing going on, that's when they're going to hit you. Trust me, that's when you look for the attack, my friends, because that's when it's going to come.
So that's why I did mention that I had gone into like a hermit mode when my dog was getting attacked, and no one knew what I was doing. Okay, I did not announce it. Nobody knew. No one knew that I had found my spiritual path. Okay, and through all that darkness that I had gone through, and whoever this was, I am 100% sure there were people that thought that they were going to kick me while I was down. And when they did, it bounced off of me and it hit my dog. Okay, so that's where I was going with that. And I stand behind that 100%. And that's not something I would talk about publicly for a long time, because it's just another way where, it's like I knew what was going on, but I never spoke on it. Okay, I never spoke on it. My dog is fine today, but I can tell sometimes, she'll just kind of get sick out of the blue. Like I told you today, Dennis, my dog's been kind of sick, right? Not been feeling good and stuff. That's because I fed her some treats from another country or something. I don't know. She wasn't feeling good today, but sometimes, if it's just kind of out of the blue, you notice that your pet is like not well. That could be the case sometimes. That's my opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only, everybody.
Well, okay. The interesting thing about dogs, cats, birds, whatever the situation, they're very sensitive, more sensitive than we are to their surroundings, to their environment. and they pick up on what we're experiencing as well, without doubt. I used to take my dog. He's gone on now, but I used to take my dog on all my investigations with me, just about, because he was very sensitive. He was the most sensitive, you might say, instrument that I could have had. He told me things that even scientific instruments could not. They're very, very super sensitive, more than we are. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are. Yeah, Brown Dwarf says CBD doggy snacks make it feel better. That's true. There's some of those stores down the road from here. I need to go try those out for my dog. Probably help with her anxiety too. She gets anxiety. Probably because I used to get anxiety real bad too. I don't so much anymore. Sometimes your anxiety is not you; it's you having an a-hole in your life. Okay, I'm just saying. That's like with depression too. Okay, but we're not going to go there today.
They run into more of them than the demonic sometimes, or maybe there is a connection. But
I think
anyway,
there's a connection.
don't have that. Yeah,
I do. Well, Don had made another point. I couldn't find his comment, but he had said that if you do have a cryptid that breaks into your home, like you had mentioned earlier today, Dennis, he said that the stories, the encounters he's familiar with, the people run into the attic and hide. He said it's probably your best bet of getting away. If some kind of cryptid or something runs into your home, try to get up in an attic and hide. Okay, so I just want to point that out, y'all. Thank you, Don. It's some good advice. I mean, I know this sounds completely outlandish to the normal person, but I don't know. It could happen. It could happen.
The rebuking thing does work a lot of times. Most of the time, I've never known it to fail. Okay, the Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Resist these evil entities; they will leave you alone. But you got to do it with faith. That's what it takes. Faith is the trigger. And a lot of people say, and I've had a lot of people ask me this over the years. Said I rebuked this thing and it left. Why did it? Why did it do that? Because you activated, you triggered that faith. Faith is very strong spiritually. It is a force to be reckoned with. Jesus said it could move mountains, and he wasn't talking about metaphorical mountains. He was talking about actual, real mountains. Okay, faith can do this. Faith is very important. Prayer is the trigger for it too, many times. But when you actually make a statement, look at that, listen to our words, Jessica. Our words are power coming out of us. That's why I say people need to watch their language, okay? You don't kiss your mama with that mouth sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I tell them that. Watch your language, because that is showing what kind of a spiritual aspect you have. And if you come out and if this language comes out of you strongly spiritually, it has force, it has power to it, because you're backing it up with true faith. That's what gets things done. And that's why these things leave a lot of times. When you rebuke them, they will flee. They'll get away from you. They don't want to deal with that. I have seen that happen with my own eyes. I know it works, but you got to have faith. That's the all important thing. You got to believe. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is an interesting comment, because when I read this, I thought of infrasound. Okay, that's what we call it out in the field whenever sometimes we just have a wave of nausea. What do you call it? Nausea. Can't think of the word. Like a wave of nausea comes over you. You don't feel good. You feel sick. Darrell was talking about it.
That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign, because you're dealing with something bad, spiritual, when that happens. I felt that too. You get a bad feeling in the pit of your stomach. Sometimes you can get dizzy. What it's doing is dropping your blood sugar count, by the way. If you run into something that is very bad or dark, demonically or spiritually, it will knock your blood sugar down very quickly, like you haven't eaten in 24 hours, kind of a thing. And I tell people who have these encounters, get you a piece afterwards, eat a piece of candy, eat something, get that blood sugar back up. Okay. It's not good, because it's a strain on your heart when that happens. It's not good to go that route. So be very careful when you encounter these things. You're getting sick for a reason because it's a reaction to this bad spiritual vibes that you're running into.
It is. Now, Urso says entities can make you sick too if they had some sort of illness. It's almost like an altered state and bringing something from another form of consciousness. So that's why I was thinking of the infrasound.
Here's another thing. If you can have, and like we said earlier about that weakness, if you've got something going on physically that you might not realize, maybe like a heart condition or you're diabetic or something, it can trigger that and make it worse. When you run into a certain situation like this, you have to be very careful. I think there's one lady I know who was an investigator. She's a big, very well-known cryptid investigator, and she encountered something like that and got cancer not long after that. That was a stage 4 cancer almost. It was very bad, and she always felt that this thing triggered that. And I have to agree, this thing happens a lot. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, well, that's with the case with 2 of my teammates that passed away, encountering what we believe was kind of like a portal. That's what we call it, the portal. They both one got a heart condition and one got an aggressive form of cancer right after that. And since then, there's been a couple of other people that were there that same night that have gotten different forms of cancer as well. So I don't know. There's some sort of a connection. Now, whether that be some sort of demonic entity or some kind of radiation or maybe both. Now, doing exorcisms and being around possessed people, dark entities, does that have radiation as well involved, do you think? Because it seems like when we have something paranormal that happens out in the field, we have a spike of radiation. So would that have a connection?
I'll address that question there that you got up. Praying, even if you don't pray out loud, triggers faith, still makes that aura come out, that power come out of you. You don't have to actually even speak it out loud, but when you speak out loud, that's sort of like putting a little more juice power to it. You know what I'm saying? Because words are living things almost, and you got to remember what comes out of you. Okay, just like in anger, when you speak in anger and you cuss somebody out or whatever it is you're speaking curse words at them. You're speaking bad vibes out of you. Bad vibes are coming out of you. Okay, that has power with it, my friend. Okay, for good or bad. Okay, and look at dark witches who cast spells. What are the rituals? You can't just sit there by yourself not saying anything. They repeat something. They say the spell. They want this bad thing to happen to so and so and so and so. They want that is adding power to these things. You got to understand that's the way it's raising a vibrational level of power, for good or bad.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's the same even when you're doing an exorcism, right? When you're doing an exorcism, you're repeating prayers over and over again, right? I mean, I've never experienced an exorcism before, not in person. I've not had to be exorcised, not yet, thank goodness. Okay, but not to joke about it, but I'm just saying, it seems as though don't you repeat prayers and verses? How does that work, Dennis?
Well, what it is when you repeat a ritual type thing, and then it is a ritual. You hear this a lot in the church where they chant these things over and over and over and over again. This is what they're doing is they're trying to connect. They hook up with that power I mentioned earlier by speaking these words. It's like, where they say the power of Christ compels you to do this and all that. Okay. In the past, when I have run into these things, you've got to speak with authority. Okay. And I've told people this many times over the years. You have been given authority over these things. Okay, Jessica? Just like tomorrow, if you run into a demon, you got 2 ways to go with it here, okay? You can say, you either get out of my house in the name of Jesus Christ, you get out of my house. Or you can say, will you please leave my house? Which one do you think is going to be more effective? When you speak with authority, demons recognize that. But when you're a passive wimp, they're going to throw sand in your face here, okay? They're not going to listen to you. You've got to speak with authority, knowing that you have the faith to back that up with. That's when they're going to cower away from you and run. That's what it takes. And if you don't, you can go either one of two ways with that. But you're going to have a better outcome when you speak with authority because they recognize that. Here's the thing about it, about inviting things in your house, okay? And a lot of times, that's why what happens. We start thinking. Here's what's going on. I think with a lot of these cryptid things, why they're showing up in people's houses. They're thinking about them. They're trying to communicate with them. They're getting that connection going with them. That's an open invitation. Okay, you might as well say, "Come on in." You know, that's what you're opening the door for. You got to realize that. That's the way these spiritual things work. You don't have to just go and open the door and say, "Come on in." You can do it by your very thoughts. That's why, as demonologists, we rarely ever like to speak the names of demons because it gets their attention, and they might come see you. Okay, you're giving an invitation. Do not invoke invitations to anything in your life, whatever it may be, because then you're going to own it.
Okay, so no Ouija boards for paranormal activity invitations and no gifting. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't gift cryptids, but I don't gift cryptids. Okay, I personally don't. I don't want them showing up at my house, banging on my home, feeling like I have opened that door. Now I have a teammate or two that I know of, very very close friends of mine, who have no problem going out and leaving a rotisserie chicken for the Bigfoots where they go. Okay, they've always done it. That's what they do, and they've had no problems at home, not that I know of, with that kind of stuff. And so I'm not saying it happens every time, but it does seem as though it causes that connection there to where they could come after you. Maybe, I don't know, but I just don't recommend gifting personally. But that's just me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would not advise it because, like I say, you're making that connection, and sooner or later they may, take you up on your invitation. Put it that
Mhm.
way. And Bigfoot and Dogman, all that—they're good when they're out in the woods. That's where they need to be. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And that's where we can study them and encounter and all that. That's fine, but we need to keep that barrier between that and us. Okay, we need to keep a barrier there. We need to keep a shield up against this. You don't want them coming home with you. You know, I've had so many cases, Jessica, where paranormal investigators bring things home with them, and it affects their children and their dogs, their cats. Their whole lives are ruined by these things. You should have taken precaution. Let me say this: my feet never hits the ground in a location, whether I'm going to look for Bigfoot or whether it's a house person, whatever the situation. My feet don't hit the ground without a prayer of protection going in and coming out of that situation. That's the way it works. And you better do that. I'm just warning you. You better always do that because you need that protection. Whether you think you so or not, you really do, because you don't want attachments can attach to you very quickly without you knowing it sometimes. You don't put yourself in harm's way, and especially your family in harm's way, because you fail to protect yourself.
Okay, so this is a perfect opportunity to stress the importance of saying your prayers before you go to bed at night, right, Dennis?
Oh yeah, definitely pray over your food. Pray before you go to bed. One of the most powerful prayers you can do is the Lord's Prayer. I like the 23rd Psalm too. It is very good. memorize it. I advised a woman the other day who was having some problems with it. Memorize it and say it. I don't know why I told her that, but I said it's very important that you do that. And I think without a doubt, it puts you in a frame of mind. Okay. Like when I go to bed at night, I do a little game. Okay. First of all, I start at my feet and I relax, and I work my way up my whole entire body. Do this. This will put you to sleep and give you a more restful sleep. That's the way the military does this, by the way. They teach people to do this. You sort of shut your body down, section by section, slowly, slowly, slowly. And while you do this, you need to be saying a prayer. You can say the prayer. You can say the Lord's prayer. Whatever you feel is good. Okay. Same thing with saying a prayer. By the way, we say blessing, as it's called, over our food, because once upon a time we realized that a lot of spells can be put in your food, a lot of bad stuff, a lot of intentions and poisons on top of that. That's why people said blessings supposedly over the food, so that the food would not harm them. Of course, they had a lot of problem with food poisoning as well. So they would say that over their blessings, so the food would suit them better. And I still do that because it is a good idea, because it's going into your body. Whatever goes into your body is you. Okay, that's what it's coming home to. And you got to remember, it becomes you. It becomes part of you. So it needs to be blessed as well.
Speaking of blessings, Dennis, you sent me this beautiful medallion. Okay, and this is blessed.
Mm-hmm.
I wear this for protection. Okay, and maybe that stopped those ETs from coming back to visit me at night. I don't know. Maybe so. How important could it be to, or how effective could it be to have some, like a medallion that's blessed, some sort of an object to wear when you're not only out in the woods but in your home at night to protect you against evil entities?
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. And here's another thing: pray with. The Bible says you pray without ceasing. In other words, keep it on your mind. Keep it on your mind, and it will give you a more settled mind. It will help you mentally. Not only, we sometimes disregard the mental aspects of ourselves too, just like we disregard the spiritual aspects. All of this is connected, and it's got to have a balance to it. Your spirit's got to balance out with your mental and your physical. That's why I say we need to be careful about even some of the foods that we put in our bodies. Okay. All of this needs to balance correctly, and then we are much better living purposes. In other words, if we do that, okay, we got to understand one goes off from the other, no matter which way you look at it. But let me say this: faith goes a long ways. Okay, let me say this: if you pray tonight, Jessica, believing that those entities will never come see you again, you will have it. Listen to this very important formula for belief, okay? This is what Jesus said in the Bible. This is very important, folks. This is a very distinct spiritual concept. Pray, believe, and receive, and you will have it. That's a very simple formula. Believe and receive, and you'll have it. In other words, you pray that, give me this protection, I'll receive it right now, and it's yours. That's all you got to do. Is you got to take. That's what true faith is like, the faith of a child. Okay, when you were a little girl, Jessica, you didn't worry about where your next meal was coming from. You didn't worry about a roof over your head. You didn't worry about clothes for your body or books for school. Who was taking care of that? Mom and Dad was worrying about that. That was and guess what? Your faith was founded and strong in what your mother and father were going to do for you.
Yep.
Well, what your heavenly Father can do for you is 1,000 times stronger than that if you connect with it. That's what true faith is, the faith of a child. You don't question it, you just receive it and believe it.
That's right. Yeah, don't question it. I mean, even when I go out into the field and I know someone was asking, I think it was Ron or somebody was asking you, Dennis, you deal with demons, with the demonology. Do you ever get scared? You know, that was his question, and I was actually going to answer that from my experience, is that, you know, I have just as much right to be in those woods as the cryptids do. And that's what I was taught. That's how I trained to go out there, is that I have just as much authority as they do. And so that's why, I don't have fear. I mean, I'm not going to say I've never been scared out in the field. I mean, it's a little sketchy out there. Okay. It's sketchy out in the woods, but I don't fear, you know, I have as much right to be there as they do. Okay. And that's how I live. That's how I live my life every day. I have just as much right and authority to be anywhere I step my foot in that room as anybody else does. I don't care who they are.
The authority. That's exactly right. This
Mhm.
authority is what you have been given. If you use that authority, it's going to work for you. Okay.
Mhm.
I've been in situations, Jessica. I'll tell everybody out there listening. They should have turned my hair white years ago. Okay. uh, I have been in those situations, but every time I felt that cold, I call it a cold water of fear come over me. Okay, and it has happened. Everybody has that happen. Don't know if anybody who tells you I'm not scared, they're the biggest liars around. Everybody gets scared of something. You run into certain situations or whatever, and whenever I had that fear come over me, I would tell, I would say, I would speak, and I would say, "Take it away from me. Give me the armor that I need to wear, that armor of light that I need to wear," which is my all-time favorite Bible passage is Romans 13:12. For the night is far spent, the day is at end. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. That's very strong. That armor of light is what will preserve you, save your life and your soul.
Mhm. Yeah, put on that full armor of God every day. We have just as much authority and right to be wherever we are as anybody else. Yeah, and I have a healthy dose of respect for everyone that I meet, and I expect the same in return. Okay, but yeah, this is just fantastic information today, Dennis, and it all resonates so much with me, and I know with the audience today. We've had a wonderful chat going on, and I apologize if I didn't get to everybody's comments today to pull them up on the screen. Um, but I think we're all pretty much on the same page here, I think. And there were a couple of questions actually, Dennis, about Ouija boards as well. And I know that topic comes up sometimes when we're in these spiritual talks. Someone was asking, how do you get rid of a Ouija board? Do you want to address that? Because there's burying, there's burning. What is the best way to get rid of one of those?
Yeah, you do not burn them. You do not break them. You bury them, and it is actually like a ceremony of burying someone. Okay. You bury the Ouija board. You salt the ground. Salt it with sea salt. You bury it. You say a prayer over it, and you walk away from it and do not turn back. I don't care if somebody calls your name or whatever. You do not turn back and look. You don't ever go back to that place again. That will break its power completely, because you're burying it just like someone would be buried. It's like a funeral. Okay. And you gotta look at it in that respect. You are cutting all ties with it. You're burying it. The main thing about Ouija boards, I've had a lot of cases of Ouija boards. They're nothing but open invitations. So before you bury the Ouija board, it's very important that you say, in the prayer that say a prayer over it. You say this. Say, I revoke any invitations. I close any doorways that have been opened spiritually. From this time forward, I'll have no more connection with you. The door is closed forever.
Oh my God! It's like, don't turn back and look behind you, or you'll turn to a pillar of salt. Okay, So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, was that Ruth? I think you don't walk away from it. Don't look back. Okay, we are full steam ahead. Only going forward from here. Okay, and don't be messing with Ouija boards, y'all. Okay, please don't. I hear we hear nothing but bad things about those things, and I just and I know I played around with one time when I was 15, and I never touched another one after that. I don't like them. I don't even like ghost boxes anymore. Okay, and all that kind of stuff. I gave mine away when I had one.
Another good thing is not to have seances either. Seances are basically Ouija boards without a Ouija board. I have actually participated in seances, which I've never done, but that's a long time ago. But anyway, I had some bad experiences with some of those seances. I have to tell you a story about it sometime. But anyway, you have to be very, very careful whenever you open any kind. I don't care. You can do this with different things. It doesn't have to be a Ouija board. You can do it in different ways. Whenever you open a spiritual doorway of any kind or communicate with the other side, who do you know that you're really communicating with? You don't. You don't know what it is you're talking to. You don't know what it is you're thinking. That's why so many people, I tell them, oh, my spirit guide says this, my spirit guide. Who are you really talking to here? Okay. Just because they told you that doesn't make it true. Okay. You got to be very, very careful whenever you deal with these dark spiritual aspects and you open these doorways. You can open the doorways to hell if you're not careful. Trust me, it's very bad stuff. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the shot.
Yeah, it's not. It's not worth it. I know we have to protect our energy, and our energy is our biggest asset. Okay, and it's worth protecting, and so spiritually cleansing ourselves, taking what they call them, spiritual baths and stuff, like just even imagining, you getting in the shower and imagining all the negative energy washing off of you and going down the drain. It's something that we all should be doing, especially right now in this age of
Where I mentioned,
fear.
finding that inner peace, Jessica. It's
Hmm.
very important that we get in touch with that peace from time to time. We need to cleanse ourselves of this world, us around us. I would say we need to turn those cell phones off. We need to get away from computers, TVs, and all this other stuff. Sometimes we just need to go out and hug a tree out there somewhere. So, okay, do something that makes you feel better and get away from the distractions, and get in touch with that inner peace. That inner peace is one of the best aspects you can have because you can touch that when you need it and it will give you that peace of mind that you need a lot of times. It's very important that you do that from time to time. You got to reduce those batteries, the spiritual batteries.
We do. We do. And my goodness, I promise you, you guys, I don't know if y'all can hear this, but I've got sun in my face. I've got a train blowing a whistle outside. I've had my dog barking, my kids running around. This show has been I've been very distracted. I think I've held it together pretty well, Dennis. Okay. But I have had more distractions during this show than I've had in a long time. And I think it's because we are talking about such spiritual cleansing and things that we really need to know about. And so I'm super excited that we were able to get the information out today, despite all the distractions I've had over here. And this is wonderful. And Dennis, I know you have a fantastic YouTube channel, and I know you've got a show. What is it, tonight and on Wednesday and Friday? You've got shows all throughout the week. Would you like to tell the audience about your YouTube channel and all your shows?
Oh, yeah. So tonight I'll be on with my good friend Darrell Denton, and we'll be doing The Road to Less Travel. That'll be 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel. And Wednesday night, we will have Hunting the Shadows. That'll be 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Friday night, we'll have Paranormal Point of View, which is also at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All my shows are 9 o'clock p.m. And like I say, I do have a consultation thing. If you do need to talk about anything, you have any concerns, whatever the situation, you just want to tell me a story or whatever, please contact me. you can contact me at denniswcarroll.com or denniswcarroll@gmail.com. Okay, you can get me that way. I have a Patreon, and you can, if you want to join that and become an official shadow hunter, you can do that and join and help support the Shadow Hunters YouTube podcast channel. And also, my books are available for purchase on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. Just look up Dennis W. Carroll.
Yes, you guys, it is Christmas time, so y'all go and support your favorite cryptid researchers and paranormal investigators like Dennis, okay, and YouTubers. I guess now we can call ourselves YouTubers, right, Dennis? Somebody asked me yesterday, they're like, what do you do? We were having Thanksgiving, and my sister had some friends over, and they're like, what do you do? I was like, you know, I was almost kind of jarred by it, like, oh, I guess I'm a YouTuber now. So I don't know. It's really weird. My life has gotten so strange. I never thought I'd say that at the age that I am. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm just saying, it just seems funny to me to say that. So, but anyways, you guys go subscribe to Dennis's channel if you haven't already, and become a member of his Patreon. And you also have a channel membership as well, just like I do over here, Dennis. And so, thank you, Dennis, so much for being here. It was another fantastic show, as always.
Always enjoy spending time with you.
Of course. We always have a good time, don't we? We do have a good time. All right, y'all. Well, thank you guys so much for all being here today. This has been a lot. This has been a really informative show, and I think that it really accentuates even Saturday night show with Darrell Denton. If you guys missed that show, please go back and watch it. It is fantastic. We went well over, I think it was like a 2-hour show at least, where he talked about all of his experiences with Bigfoot and Dogman, and so you can go catch up on that if you missed it. And so yeah, so. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope it helped. And everybody that was in the chat today, thank you so much for all of your comments and your suggestions and your experiences as well. It really makes the show even better when you guys are here. So y'all, please come back and see me. I'll be back on Wednesday on A Glitch in the Matrix. We'll have another really great show for you guys. And go visit Dennis tonight. I'll be there in the chat tonight with you and Carroll of Midwest Night Watchers. Go to Hunting the Shadows on YouTube and watch Dennis live tonight. All right, y'all. Well, everybody stay safe out there. Protect your energy. Go take a shower and imagine all that negative energy flowing off of you and going down that drain. Okay? Keep your vibes high, and I'll see y'all on Wednesday. All right. Bye, Dennis. Y'all have a